What's this? Chicken, peppers and onions, salsa, cheese, sour cream. Did you? Cause I. Hey Katie, we're having fajitas for dinner. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Cooking Dad. Today we're doing some fajitas. So we're gonna start this recipe with 3 bell peppers and 1 onion. So grab your knife and make sure to hone it up so it's nice and sharp. Whenever I hone my knife, I do about probably between 5 and 7 strokes per side. So grab your first bell pepper and cut off the top. There's a few different ways you can do bell peppers, and I'm gonna be honest, in this video, I don't know what I was doing with these bell peppers, but none of these are how I normally do them. So 3 different ways to do it, but here you go. So cut off the top, like I said, cut the bottom, and you're gonna take out the middle part with all the seeds. Then I like to try to trim them up in the inside so you get all that white stuff that doesn't taste too good or have too good of a texture. And we're gonna clean all that up, and we're just gonna lay it flat, and then just gonna cut strips. As you can see here, yes, I like I said, there's usually a much quicker way that I do this. I'm just kind of lost at this point in time with this bell pepper. Almost there. All right, there we go. We're gonna cut it into strips. If you want smaller bites, you can cut those strips in half, but I like the strips to be the length of the taco, so it's all up to you, however you feel. Once that one pepper is done, you're gonna do the rest and same to the others. So cut the top off again, and now for this one, I'm taking the knife and I'm going around the bell part of the bell pepper. Fun fact, that's why it's called a bell pepper, because before what we have now, those used to jingle in the wind and it would sound like bells on the vine. So we have all of our strips cut now, and all that's left to do is the onion. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you know how I like to dice onions, but today we're not dicing onions, we're making strips. But it starts pretty much the same. Cut the top off, cut down the middle, and then 1/2 at a time, tear off the skin, and then just like make radius cuts along from front to back, just like I've always taught about dicing. But now the difference is, instead of turning it 90 degrees and doing that dice, we're gonna turn it 90 degrees and just cut off that back like that. So then you have all these nice, lovely strips that match your peppers. Now, quicker, pretty much same result, but a slightly different, is you go from front to back, cutting that way. Now, the difference is, the first way, everything's the same length. They get a little bit thinner in the middle, but it's not a big deal. This way, the inner parts do get smaller and shorter, so everything's not quite equal, but sometimes it's just easier, I find, to do it that way. Throw away all that trash, grab yourself a bowl, and we're gonna stick all that in there and put it off to the side. Don't forget those little bits too. All of this matters. Give that a good little wipe down. Now it's time to get to the main show. The chicken. Little chicken dance. Now, we do not want to use our wood cutting board to cut raw chicken or prep it. So grab yourself a plastic cutting board that we can throw in the dishwasher. Here I have about 2 pounds of chicken, so this recipe is for 2 pounds, but we're just gonna put that on the cutting board, put a little salt on there, and here I forget what hand I'm using for my raw chicken and which hand I'm keeping clean, and flip those over and get some more salt with your chickeny hands. Don't worry, I threw all that salt away. Pat those, and we're gonna set them off to the side, and make sure to wash those chickeny hands. Now, turn on your stove. I'm using my cast iron. Add a little bit of oil, just a little bit. Here I probably have a tablespoon or 2. And we're gonna let that heat up. Now, you'll see in the video coming up that this pan is way too small for how much I'm cooking. I normally do this on my blacktop outside, but it is snowing and very cold and not good for weather. So here I'm realizing now that my cast iron pan is way too small for this. So I just stuff them all in there, and we're trying to get some color on them. We're not cooking the chicken all the way through on this. We're just trying to get some crispy and some color on the chicken. So flip them over and just let them sit there for a few minutes. And just like that, about 5-6 minutes has gone by, and we've got some good color on them. I'm gonna go back and grab my now clean cutting board for these to rest. And look at that, a little bit of crisp there. This one has got some color, and this last one's the best. Boom. Flavor Town. So while those chickens are going to be resting on the cutting board, we're going to get our seasoning ready, because once this all going to start cooking, it all goes very fast. We want everything prepared. So for this fajita seasoning, we're going to be using sugar and cornstarch, and then chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, paprika, onion powder, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. And then for a fun twist, some coriander. Once we get all of those, you need 2 spoons. You need a tablespoon and a teaspoon. And it starts with the cornstarch. It's pretty easy. You're gonna go 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. 1, 2, a tablespoon and a half of chili powder, a teaspoon of salt. Nope, 2 teaspoons of salt. Don't listen to me. A teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of paprika, 2 teaspoons of sugar, that was pre-measured, teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of onion powder, teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of coriander, and then as much or as little cayenne as you would like. Depends on how spicy you want to make it. My kids are eating this, so I'm just using just a little bit. Mix that all up so it's well combined, and set it off to the side. Now that our chicken has had some time to rest, we're going to cut it up. I'm just cutting this into nice little thin strips. I don't normally cut this fast, but I did speed it up. So careful of your hands if you try to cut this fast. So I just cut basic strips up and down, perfect 90 degrees, no biggie. Now, constant theme in this video is me running out of room for some reason. I move all this chicken to the plate so I have room to cut up the third breast. If you want to get a little fancy, here's something you could do. Take your knife, put it at like a 45-degree angle, maybe even 60-degree angle, and cut on the bias. This will give it a little extra depth and character. So now that the pan's heated up, we're going to add all of our vegetables in there. And again, this is when I'm realizing this pan is way too small. I was stubborn and just didn't move to a bigger pan, but here we are. So after about 10 minutes or so, you get a nice saute on those, get some color. You saw how those reduced down. Transfer those back into the bowl they were in. We're going to add just a little bit more oil. And now we're going to finish cooking the chicken and those chicken strips. So add all of that in there. This time the chicken does fit a little bit better because it's smaller pieces, but still, I don't know why I thought this would work. As you're cooking the chicken, make sure all those bits are being flipped over and you're cooking the chicken all the way through. Once the chicken is cooked, you're going to add the seasoning to the chicken, followed up by 1.5 cups of water. Again, this is for a double recipe. The recipe I have below in the description will be for about 1 pound of meat. So follow that. But then you just add the water and mix it all up with the chicken. And you'll find that some bits of chicken will have the seasoning stuck on them. That's fine. A little extra flavor boost. Splash some of the nasty water onto your stove and let it burn and cook there. But then once it's all mixed up, we're gonna put the cover on and simmer for about 10 minutes. Once it's done, it's gonna look like this. You'll see the sauce has thickened up nicely, especially with that cornstarch, and you'll be good to go. Perfect. Now all that's left to do is assemble. I got these nifty taco trays here. Take some chicken. Oh, that's gonna be a big one. A little bit of onion and pepper. Some salsa if you like. Cheese if you want. And a little bit of sour cream. Boom, there you go. Weeknight fajitas. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe, and join us on Discord. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go find myself a margarita and eat these.